I do not want an election. I don't think Canadians want an election. I think Canadians want politicians to work together, to serve them, to build a better future for them and keep them safe during this COVID crisis.
Mired in scandal, dealing with the global pandemic, the Trudeau Liberals are about to introduce their throne speech on Wednesday, September 23rd. What's in it? There have been so many trial balloons floated out there for every demographic. The spending is going to be big, but just how big will it be? And can it save their political hides? Brian Lilley is our political columnist and is with me. So a lot of trial balloons out there, a lot of strategic leaks into the media, Brian, not the least of which was a guaranteed basic income. What are you hearing about the throne speech?
Well, after talking about building back Canada better, a resilient recovery, all these buzz phrases that come from directly from the United States and the left wing of the Democrat Party down there, there started to be this sense that, oh, maybe we should pull back. Did Ottawa go too far? And I don't think that they are actually pulling back. When you look at things like the announcement that they're going to put $500 million into helping Ford Motor Company build electric vehicles at their Oakville, Ontario assembly plant, that's straight out of the Jerry Butts and his Resilient Recovery Task Force. So I don't think they're pulling back, but they're trying to sell it less, because I think maybe they got in their focus groups and their polling that, oh, you know what? Declaring that you're going to use a global health emergency to revamp the entire way that Canada operates maybe wasn't selling all that well. So I still think that we're going to hear hints about a national pharmacare program, which the premiers have said, no, we don't want that until you're properly funding healthcare. I think we're going to hear, talk again for, since I was in elementary school, I think we've been talking about national childcare, and we might get hints of a universal basic income as well. So all of that's still on the table, I think.
So big national projects, some of which the premiers have already said, we don't have any interest in this. We wanted to be we're the deliverers of healthcare. Just fund us properly, and we're able to take care of our citizens. But let's talk about the basic income, the guaranteed basic income. There's always this notion that conservatives should be on board with this because then it's more fiscally responsible, and then it gives everybody an opportunity. But I hear no hint, Brian, that their intention is to collapse any of the other social programs. To me, it sounds like this is on top of what we are already receiving, what the number of Canadians are already receiving. So that makes the price tag massive, huge, and we already know there's no plan and no desire really or ability to balance any books by 2050. So let's unpack that guaranteed income for a moment.
Yeah, so a lot of people say, well, Milton Friedman, the godfather of economics for conservatives, at least during the 80s, he was behind this idea. He liked it, so you guys should all like it. But you are absolutely correct. When people like Milton Friedman suggested a basic income, they said get rid of all the other social programs. Well, we know what happened in Ontario when they did this as a pilot. They didn't get rid of anything. You could still get other social programs, and you could get your guaranteed basic income. It's going to be the same thing at the federal level. So, unless they're going to turn around, and if they want to deliver this and they want to do it fiscally sensibly, then they would scrap everything else. But they can't, because they don't run the municipal social assistance programs. They don't run the provincial ones, and it would be a hard sell. I mean, part of the theory is the reason you give the basic income is it's more affordable than running all these heavily bureaucratic systems that give you a little bit for this and a little bit for that. Get rid of them all, have one. They want to have all the little things, and then they don't want to turn around and say to you, Adrian, hey, look, that Canada Child Tax benefit, you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of this. You got to get rid of that. No. They want it all. So that's what makes it unaffordable. Between 100 billion and 400 billion a year, according to some studies, depending on how they actually build it.
So let's sort of wrap this up and just go to the political side to the throne speech. Obviously, for those that don't know this, it's a confidence motion, meaning it's if the government doesn't get support for their throne speech, they can be defeated, and then we could see ourselves into a federal election. I doubt that's going to happen. We see an election call in BC almost sort of thwarting any potential calls for a federal election. We've already talked about, Brian, how we're in such unprecedented times. Two of the federal leaders in this country, of two of the federal the parties, have COVID-19. And now we have a throne speech. So let's just quickly go across the spectrum. Does the Green Party want an election right now?
No, they're in the middle of a leadership vote. Not that it
Right.
matters, but they are
Yeah.
in the middle of a leadership vote.
Okay. For the NDP, they are broke. But there is that one piece we've just talked about, the guaranteed income, that could be just enough to get the NDP support.
Yeah, they don't want to vote against anything that would see more social program spending, whether it's feasible, affordable, or not. They'll support this sort of thing. And as you said, they have no money. They've got a big
Yeah.
mortgage on their Ottawa property, the Jack Layton building.
The Bloc Québécois, as we've already mentioned, the leader unfortunately has COVID-19. We wish him the best and a speedy recovery. They're the ones that have been, saber rattling in the entire We scandal that it's time for an election. Does that actually come to fruition? Will they support this throne speech?
Well, as long as the NDP support it, it doesn't matter what the Bloc and the Conservatives do. The Bloc knows that their poll numbers have been up in Quebec in several polls, and so they want to keep sounding like they're the defenders of Quebec. Because remember, the whole We scandal wasn't big until we found out we couldn't deliver products or services in French. And that's when it became a big scandal there.
All right. Aaron O'Toole, brand new leader of the Conservative Party, also has COVID-19. We wish him a speedy recovery. Does the Conservative Party want an election?
Yes and no. Publicly, they do. Privately, they don't. None of the big three national parties want an election because British Columbia is in the middle of a campaign. BC is a three-way race. Any of them could come out on top in that province, and all their election workers are currently trying to decide if John Horgan stays as premier after he's just called an election.
All right. Is it time for an election? Will the Liberals survive? Let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, log on to Facebook and Twitter, and weigh in.